I interviewed one woman fairly recently who basically told me that she went to a Diddy party, that there was a prince that she was spending time with. She felt like this was possibly an attempt to sort of traffic her into the Diddy web that he was spinning. And she made some pretty specific allegations about seeing girls who clearly seemed to be underage at these parties. And that was like one of the most direct accusations, firsthand account that I've really heard from somebody about what she witnessed at one of these parties. And she described it as being just a big open area that was separate from the main party, but in which you could clearly see people like consuming large amounts of drugs, orgies taking place in front of everybody. And when you hear that, that makes you realize that like anybody who had been involved in any level of these freak offs is not going to be able to come forward, because if it says if the illegal acts are as obvious as there being underage people there, then for sure nobody's going to admit that they were at any of these parties.
That may be true. And yes, that is deeply disturbing if there were minors being exploited. And some of them have come forward and filed lawsuits now.
Right.
And I mean, I think we can all agree that, you know, whatever is happening in an orgy with drugs, there should not be any minors involved.
Right.
So that's very disturbing. And yeah, I don't know. I think some people are going to have an attack of conscience and they're going to come forward and say, you know what, I was there. I should have stepped forward before. I was scared. I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to get involved. I didn't want my career to be ruined, but I'm going to step forward now. And people do. People evolve. You know, most people don't want to be involved in the legal system.
Right.
I spent a lot of my time trying to get witnesses to come and testify, and we can't pay them. That would be witness bribery. So I just have to try to convince people. And the first reaction is usually, hell no, I don't want to be involved. What are you, crazy? It's a little bit better, I think, with Sean Combs, because I think most people see what a monster he is now. It's not, there aren't really two sides to this anymore. That helps. But still, there are other high-ranking people in the music industry that people are afraid of. You know, if I speak out against Diddy, you know, am I going to get a recording deal? Am I going to get blacklisted? Am I going to get shut out of the industry? People, you know, I mean, it's a natural human instinct to say, I don't want to be involved. I just want to be over here living my life. Why do I have to be a part of this? And then, of course, we could subpoena people. They don't really have a choice. I have the power to subpoena people. You're served with a subpoena. You have to come in and testify. But I know that if I do that, people are likely to be hostile. They might clam up. They might say, I don't remember anything. I don't know what you're talking about. So I'd rather we do it the friendly way, where they just agree and they come in and they say what they saw.
It's a common talking point on the right that essentially everybody in Hollywood, in Democratic circles, etc., is essentially a pedophile or involved in this type of thing to some extent. Do you believe that there are really like mass networks of people in Hollywood that are doing this sort of crazy behavior, like possibly even worse than whatever we've heard about Diddy?
I don't know about vast networks, but I've been doing these cases for 38 years, and a lot of it is in Hollywood. And, you know, I've heard people make extreme statements about Hollywood, and then sometimes it comes true, you know, I mean, over and over again, you know, R. Kelly, right? I mean, who would have believed that 10 years ago? In fact, he had been previously tried and acquitted, and he probably thought, okay, I'm good. Similar with Diddy. He had been previously tried on a weapons charge and acquitted. And now look what comes out. I mean, this horrific scheme with so many victims. So I'm never surprised. I practice law here in Los Angeles. People come to me every day. Look, the CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch, which is fashion, not music, is getting criminally indicted today. And a lot of people have accused him of a lot of bad stuff. So nothing really surprises me anymore. People come to me with stories of being abused by high-profile people in music or in fashion, especially, or in Hollywood. And I believe it. I still have to prove it, but I believe it.
You know who Jaguar Wright is?
I don't.
She's basically a woman who's kind of been making the rounds. I think it would probably be fair to call her a conspiracy theorist, but she, you know, some of the claims that she throws out there seem to make some sense, or she seems to be proven right by certain things at times. And she just recently went on Piers Morgan and made a lot of extremely inflammatory comments about Jay-Z, basically claiming that he's guilty of a lot of the same stuff that Diddy's been accused of, even though there's no charges or investigation that we know of in terms, no lawsuits that we know of about with Jay-Z. From your perspective, is that a risk to people who want to be taken seriously in this regard, that it seems like there's a lot of people who aren't necessarily concerned with the truth, but they're using this content to get a viral moment?
Well, I guess that's always possible. You know, my area is the law, and we have to have evidence and proof. And that's what I like about being a lawyer. Is people can't just, post something on social media and then it goes viral, as you say. In court, we have to prove our case, and somebody's going to get cross-examined. So it's very easy for somebody to do a video or to do an interview, let's say with Piers Morgan, and I don't know how long it was, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and to say a few things and then you're done. Well, in court, you're going to be cross-examined by really smart people who are going to rake you over the coals for everything you said, and you're going to have to withstand that cross-examination. And at the end of it, we'll see whether you're telling the truth or not. And a lot of people, their stories fall apart on cross-examination. And that could be on the victim side, it could be on the perpetrator side. But that's the great thing about the court system. And, one of the things that aggravates me is seeing people out in the world just kind of throwing out allegations. But I think most people do have a healthy amount of skepticism for somebody who just makes an allegation, and they want to see proof, or they want to see multiple accusers, or they want to see a video, or they want to see somebody file a lawsuit or go to the police, or do something about it rather than just making claims. But I will also say that the legal system is very difficult for people, and a lot of people take these secrets to their grave. So maybe all they can do is a social media post. All they can do is a quick interview. And we just don't know in that case.
Right. Okay. I know you have to go, but my last question, it seems like we are now in an environment in which people are more ready to hear the claims made about Diddy and to take them seriously. But then at the same time, it seems as if Donald Trump might be the next president of the United States. And it seems like a gigantic percentage of the country is willing to ignore a lot of the claims that have been made about him.
Well, thank you for raising that. And I represented 4 women accusing Trump of sexual assault back in 2016, including the first one, who was very brave, who came out, Jill Harth. And people seem to have forgotten that 20 women have accused him, and one of them actually took him to court and won.
Right.
And, it's just like an, oh, well, I guess, on the right. Trump, I've heard it said, is a mud monster. You could throw mud at him. It doesn't matter. He's already got so much mud all over him. It becomes a bigger mud monster.
It really is remarkable. He's got a superpower that nobody else seems capable of having in our culture.
Yeah. I mean, the people on the right have just decided they're going to hold their nose and vote for him because they like his policies. And so, I find it very disappointing. I'm a very, active supporter of the Harris-Walz ticket. I'm going door knocking in Nevada next week, which is a swing state, to do everything I can possibly do. I've donated. I do think that character matters, that decency matters, and that having somebody who has not sexually assaulted someone kind of matters. It's pretty important. And I don't understand how people on the right can just ignore that.
Yeah, like there was a poker player, I'm in the poker world as well. There was a poker player recently who was basically like booted out of his position in the poker industry as a result of him basically sending text messages to women who were coming to play in his poker game, where he was asking them to see their breasts and stuff like that. And there's this whole moral outcry in the poker community.
Right.
And then at some point somebody points out, like, most of you are Trump supporers, and this doesn't really, this feels a little disingenuous.
That's such a great point. You can't play poker, but you could be president, right? I mean, that is crazy.